Okay, in this video, we're going to be talking about factoring, quadratics, when A is not 1. And remember, the standard form of a quadratic looks like this. So we would want to make sure our question is written in that order first. Okay, so in example 1, let's say I had negative 10 minus 7x plus 3x squared. Well, is that written in standard form? No, so that's what you would need to do first. Okay, where this is A, B, and C. Okay, so now we're going to put this in our tic-tac-toe square. And remember, A goes in the first square. So A is 3, then C, and then I multiply them. And this is where it gets a little bit different and a little bit more difficult. Okay, because A is not 1. So I still need to find the factors of this number here. So 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 doesn't divide evenly, 5 and 6. Okay, now we need to think about the pair that gives me this number, negative 7. If C is negative, that's a key indicator that these are going to have opposite signs. Okay, if C is negative, your factors have opposite signs. If B is negative, the bigger factor is the one that's opposite. The bigger factor is the one that's negative. So which of these pairs would give you negative 7? I'm going to let you take a second to think about that. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, this would give you negative 29, this would give you negative 13, this would give you negative 7, and this would give you negative 1. So which pair gives you negative 7? This pair would. Okay, so that's where I'm going to write that in my table. Positive 3, negative 10, because that is what gives me negative 7. And then I can check, does negative 10 times positive 3 equal negative 30? Yes, it does. So far what I've done is correct. Okay, what are the factors of 3? 1 and 3. Those are the only two factors. So should I put 1 right here or 1 right here? If I put 1 right here and 3 right here, 1 times I could put positive 3 here, right? But 3 times, there's not a whole number that would give me negative 10. So I would just need to simply switch the order of that. So I'm going to put 3 on the top row and 1 on the bottom row. 3 times something gives me positive 3. 3 times what gives me positive 3? Positive 1. 1 times what gives me negative 10? Negative 10. And then I put X's behind the first column. Here's my first pair, my first factor. Here's my second factor. And then I need to check my work. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 1 is positive 3x. Negative 10 times x is negative 10x. And negative 10 times 1 is negative 10. I can combine those. And I get back my original question. So here is what you would type in. Okay? Example 2. (4x squared plus 4x minus 15). Is that written in standard form? Yes. This is A, B, and C. So I can list in my tic-tac-toe square. Feel free to pause the video and try to do this on your own and then come back and check your work. I would put A in this square, C in this square, and then I'm multiplying them for the last square. Okay, now I'm going to list all the factors of 60. I always start with 1 and 60. And then surely you don't need to do this, but if you do, I'm just dividing the next number, 2, and then the third, and then number 3, 4, 5, but hopefully you're not having to do the calculator. 7 doesn't divide evenly. 8 doesn't divide evenly. 9 doesn't divide evenly. And then we're at 10, which is already one of the listed factors. So here's all the factors of 60. Now let's analyze, are they going to both be positive? If C is negative, are they both positive? If C is negative, are they both negative? No. When C is negative, these are going to have opposite signs. When C is negative, the two factors, one is negative and one is positive. Then we look at B. B is positive, which means the bigger number is positive. And the smaller number is negative. So this is positive 59, positive 28, positive 17, positive 11, positive 7, positive 4. Which one do I select? I select the one that gives me positive 4. So this is the pair I will list in my table. Do these two numbers equal negative 60 when I multiply them? Yes. What are the factors of 4? 1 and 4, 2 and 2. So let's think about which ones will I need to put in this square. Well, if I put 1 and 4, okay, let's just pretend. I'm going to put 1 and 4. 1 times negative 6 gives you negative 6, correct? But is there a whole number that I can multiply 4 by to get positive 10? No. If I switch them and made this 4 and this 1, is there a whole number I can list here where 4 times that number is negative 6? No. So I actually will need to use 2 and 2. 2 times what gives you negative 6? Negative 3. 2 times what gives you positive 10? Positive 5. And then I put X's. I circle the pairs. That's one of my factors. That's the other. And then I can check 4x squared minus 6x plus 10x minus 15. And notice, here's that negative 6 and that 10 again, right? So I know I did it right because that would give me positive 4. That is my original question. So here is the correct answer. 2 more that are a little bit tricky. So make sure that you are paying close attention, because these are slightly different from the previous 2. They're a little bit more difficult. Okay, so example 3. We're going to do negative 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Well, at the end of the last video, I discussed how we don't want this leading number to be a negative. So if it's a negative, I'm going to divide everything by a negative. Now, does 3 go into 10 and 8? No. So I'm just going to divide everything by negative 1. So negative 3 divided by negative 1 is 3x squared. Negative 10 divided by negative 1 is positive 10x. And negative 8 divided by negative 1 is positive 8. So what is my next step? I need to put this in tic-tac-toe, where A is positive 3. Remember, we always have, this needs to be a positive number. So if it's negative, you're going to have to divide by a negative. Then I put C, then I multiply them. 3 times 8 is what? 24. So I'm finding the factors of 24. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. 5 doesn't divide evenly, and then I'm back to 6. So those are all the factors. I'm looking for the pair that adds up to positive 10. If C is positive and B is positive, both of these will be positive. This is positive 25, positive 14, positive 11, and positive 10. So here's the pair I will use. Positive 4, positive 6. The only factor since 3 is prime is 1 and 3. So can I list, well, I need to go 1 and 3 or 3 and 1? 1 and 3. 1 times what is positive 4? 3 times what is positive 2? Positive 6 is positive 2. I put X's. I hope y'all are getting the hang of this. Here's my first factor. Here's my second factor. And my other factor is negative 1. There's my answer. Okay, almost done. Y'all are doing great. Thank you for taking great notes. I know you're taking great notes. Example 4. 35x squared plus 100x minus 15. Now, do you think I would give you a number that's that big? I hope not. Okay, so think about it. Is there a factor that divides into those 3 numbers? Like 3. Just 3, we know 3 divides into 15, right? But does it evenly divide into 100? No. So there must be another number. What number would divide into all 3 terms? 5. 5 divides into all 3 terms. So I need to rewrite this quadratic dividing 5 out of each term. 35 divided by 5 is 7x squared. 100 divided by 5 is 20. And negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. So this is what I tic-tac-toe. 7, negative 3, and negative 21. So I'm finding the factors of 21. 1 and 21, and 3 and 7. Those are the only 2 factors. So which pair would give you 20? Well, obviously, it's probably going to be this pair. So how would I make 1 and 21 positive? Positive 20 to be specific. This would have to be minus, and the bigger number is positive. And notice if C is negative, these are opposites. This is equal to positive 20. There's no way to make 3 and 7 positive 20. So this is the pair I use. So I list that pair. I make sure they multiply to get negative 21. Then what are the factors of 7? 1 and 7. 1 times what is negative 1? 3 times what is positive 21. So my tic-tac-toe square is squared away. I circle my pairs. But I'm missing a factor. 5. So that is the full factored version of my original quadratic function.